When I was a kid, I used to travel trains from Singapore to Malaysia, and at those times, the trains were very much different from what we have now. My love for trains is when, at that time, these things captured into your heart, so you kind of like trains and how it moves. That's where the love built up in me.
My interest in trains started when I was about 8 years old, when that time I have my first train ride together with my family to Malaysia, as we have a kampung over there.
Back in 1980, I used to hang around here with a friend of mine, and what we'll do is we'll normally wait for trains to pass by. The frequency of trains here in the 80s were pretty interesting because there were lots of frequency between Singapore and Malaysia and also Jurong.
That time, rail transport was one of the most efficient if you're getting to Malaysia, because public roads were not as organized as what we have today. But as time goes, now there are expressways in Malaysia where people are now more liberal to travel by other modes of transport, even by air.
I first started on my first railway trip to Kluang when I was primary 3. That was about, I would say, 9-10 years ago. Yeah. We took it from Tanjong Pagar, and to be honest, at that time I had a pretty bad impression of Malaysian railway, as it wasn't as frequent as the MRT. But the moment I stepped in the train, there was this distinct railway smell that I still can't forget to this day. Took it to Kluang, which is about 3 hours from Singapore, including immigration. Had some coffee there, walked around the town a little bit, had McDonald's, shopped for a little bit at the local malls, and then I caught another train back.
One of my most memorable experience while taking the KTM trains is when that time me and my family went to the northern parts of Malaysia, which is the Padang Besar. It's at the border between Malaysia and Thailand. Okay, that's one of my memorable because is that the journey took about almost 12 hours. You get to feel or get to see those surroundings where you can't see in Singapore.
I train spotted here most of my time because I was interested in the locomotives used, such as the English Electric 20 class, the English Electric 22 class, and also the Kawasaki, which is the 21 class, and also to understand and participate in how the trains transact between lines like the intersection and how they go about with the system. They have a token system at Bukit Timah which they need to exchange in order to make it through to Woodlands or either Tanjong Pagar.
In 2003, the tracks weren't, it wasn't like now. Now it's dynamic rails, which is just one piece of rail all the way to KL. We had fish plates, which makes a pretty distinct clickety-clack sound along the railway as the train goes by.
The sound of the train that it produces, the tracks that it gives, and the rock and roll you get when you kind of like travel on it. Back in the early days, I traveled mostly on third class, and I will usually stand outside the window or the door to enjoy the atmosphere of being driven by a train.
Just look behind me. You don't feel like this is Singapore. It's a very good place to relax. And when you go to Malaysia, it's all very quiet. You hear natural sounds. Sometimes when there's no train passing by, you really feel peace and quiet, which is really difficult to get in Singapore, especially at night, where a lot of people say that you can't see stars in Singapore. This is the place to see stars in Singapore.
There are a lot of friends, regular customer also, and this place we get what they call environment of Malaysia here, different from outside. If you come inside, you can feel in Malaysia inside the building. Outside I don't know, but inside the building. Yeah, it's very nice. Because a lot of person come and find for biryani. It's very crowded.
Tanjong Pagar Station, I really love their food. It's quite a reasonable, cheap price. The food offered was, there's a variety of food, as well as the taste is considerably nice also. That's why I can say. Yeah. What makes me sad when the station closed down is that I think I'll never get to taste the food again, because once they're going to, hand over the place, right? Then I think all those restaurants or whatever food they sell over there is going to be moved out.
With the relocation of the station from Tanjong Pagar to Woodlands, it will have an impact, because there are people who have been using the railways from as long as it started many years ago. So obviously there will be some unhappiness.
I'm going to miss mostly is the nostalgic feeling of a railway station that was once part of our lives. And the relocation would mean losing part of history, losing part of what we used to have. And for a railway enthusiasts like me, it's a great loss because we will not be able to see a diesel locomotive running past. And relocation would mean that we will be confined to a smaller space to get that good shot of trains.
Some of those trains that I used to train spot with my camera and so on, we'll never get to see again. And then those memories for the past 20 years or so will just be a memories.
When I first heard about the news, it was pretty sad because like I just started liking this thing a few years back and now it's gonna be gone. So naturally, I think all the railway fans will be extremely sad about this piece of news lah. Based on transportation wise to the public, it will be a bit inconvenient as well since they need to travel all the way to Woodlands to take the train, and that's like 1 kilometer from JB already. And while Tanjong Pagar is like a city centre terminal, which is convenient for everyone, even since 108 years ago when the railway line first started.
How many generations?
Third generation.
Third generation.
Since 1936. My boss is second generation and boss son is now third generation. He take over now.
Will you feel sad when you move?
Really sad.
Really sad.
Yeah, really sad.
So after this, where will you go?
Maybe we can get in Woodlands, but not confirm yet.
In my opinion of the land with regards to the relocation, it is a positive move forward to preserve the railway station because that's a monument from the history point of view. The lands that was once used would be harvested into flats or residential areas. That is quite valuable to us, and I'm sure we can at some point make good use out of it.
My name is Nasir. I'm just a friend of my friend who's the owner of this KTM restaurant here.
How long has he opened the coffee shop?
Okay, berapa lama sudah buka?
Sudah 26 tahun.
26 years. You should consider our rice and bowl, his rice and bowl for 26 years. So what's next? I mean, they have the right to take everything from us. But then again, you have to consider our right. I mean, we have to survive. So what I want to do, what can I do? So what's next? These are the considerations. As he said, he got no places. So these are the facts and considerations and rights that the authority have to look into.
Depends on how you redevelop the land, because you need to know that the railway land is like just a linear piece of land. But if you merge it with other pieces of land, you can definitely build good properties around to increase the value, especially at like Spottiswoode Park, which is in the middle of Tanjong Pagar. Currently, it's poorly served by transport. Like there's suddenly an estate of HDB flats with only one car park and no roads, no buses. But once the railway line is gone, I'm pretty sure that value will hit up. In fact, there was just an advertisement maybe 2 days ago on the newspaper saying that they are going to build a condominium there.
With the respect to the monumental building of Tanjong Pagar itself, it is one of the unique monuments that we have, and it is worth preserving it, or if not, reliving it into a better condition so that it would be part of our history that we can focus on.
you.